Hey everybody, today I'm here with Don again. So good to have you here, Don. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great, Siobhan. Thanks for having me.
So today we're talking about what actually is being successful on a raw vegan diet. So how would you define being successful on a raw vegan diet? I guess it comes to getting all the essential nutrients on a diet, and that your body is actually thriving, and that you have great energy. What else? How would you define a successful diet?
Well, in a certain sense, you really won't know if you were successful for many, many, many decades because one of the things is you get to live to a ripe old age and you never got any kind of degenerative disease. You never got any diagnosis of anything serious. The only time you go to the hospital is to visit somebody else. So that's when you know you've been successful. But on the way there, you know you're probably going to be successful if you're not running up against any challenges, if it's not a struggle. Because if whatever diet you're eating on a daily and weekly and monthly and yearly basis is a struggle, well, then you're not successful.
Hmm.
You're successful if you're happy with it and everything's going smooth and it's just as easy as falling off a log.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what do you think is really important for people to know in order for them to be successful on a raw vegan diet?
Okay, I've got about 8 tips, and I'm just going to give a brief overview of these things so that the video can be short.
Hmm.
I'm going to give you I'm going to give the folks who are watching this some links they can go to if they want to hear any expanded information on any of these things. And I've also got a treat that I'll save to the very end. So here's what I feel is necessary to be successful on a raw food diet. Number one, you need to remember why you're doing this because when you start out doing this and as you're doing it, you're going to come up against certain challenges. It's going to be difficult at certain times for various reasons. So as not to be thrown off and to get huge setbacks and to maybe get totally derailed, you just got to remember why it is that you're doing this. If you're doing this for your health, which is what most people do this for, you got to just keep that in mind. Like I'm doing this for my health, not just the health today, of course, but your future health, the health that you're going to have for the rest of your life, especially the health during the last 10 years of your life. You want that to be the greatest possible health you can have. So always remember why you're doing this. Number two is get your priorities straight. And maybe this one should be number one because you first have to know for yourself how important is health to you. Because on a scale of 1 to 10, like we talked about last time, if health is 7, well, then maybe you might adjust your diet. Or if you have a problem, instead of dealing with the problem, you might just say, okay, I'll continue eating this little bit of cooked food, and that'll solve the problem. But if your health is a number 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, then you need to deal with whatever setbacks and challenges happen to you along the way.
Right.
So you got to make sure what your priorities are. Number three, you should base your health practices on the science of health. This is called natural hygiene. And then in the United States, there used to be colleges of natural hygiene, but they were closed down by the pharmaceutical industry because they kind of competition. If everyone's healthy, everyone needs pharmaceuticals, and that's not good. So we don't really have official colleges of natural hygiene anymore. We just have natural hygiene practitioners like myself who talk about the science of health. And really, natural hygiene is the scientific application of the principles of nature in the restoration and preservation of health. So there is a science behind it. We're not just making stuff up as we go along. And we know a long time what the diet of a human being is supposed to be. And there's going to be a link below in the description of an article on natural hygiene. And if you memorize only one thing, it should be the stuff that's in that article, the definition of natural hygiene, what it entails. Some people print out and put it on the refrigerator so they can see it every day. It is really powerful stuff. And if you keep that in the forefront of your mind, it really helps you be successful.
Hmm.
Mention that there's no such thing as a raw food diet. People say, I'm eating the raw food diet. There's no such thing as the raw food diet. And that's because there are many different raw food diets. So it would be correct to say I'm eating a raw food diet. Okay, so now which one are you eating? And believe me, I tell this to a lot of people and they go, oh, I didn't know there was more than one. I thought the one that I'm eating is the raw food diet. And that's great if you're eating the healthiest of the raw food diets. But if you're eating, let's say, a high-fat, low-carb version of the raw food diet or a gourmet raw food diet or a raw food diet that's not 100% raw, and I don't know how you can call that a raw food diet, but some people do, well, that's not the healthiest of the raw food diet. So again, if health is number 10 on your list of 1 to 10 health importance to you, then you want to know about the different raw food diets to make sure you're eating the one that you want to eat. Um, I have a couple articles on my website that talk about the different raw food diets. Number five, diet really is not a good way to look at eating in general because people say, I'm eating the such and such diet or I'm dieting. Well, you shouldn't be. I mean, do we give a similar name like that to the other things we do in life? Like, I'm exercising. Well, we should just be active. We shouldn't be really doing specific exercising. And we don't give a name, certainly, to what we do when we go to the bathroom. We just, it's just what we do.
Exactly.
So physical activity and going to the bathroom and eating food, these are all just natural things for us. So diet is really not a good way of looking at it. But some people say, okay, I'm eating the best diet. I'm eating the healthiest diet in the universe for me. Well, that may be true because the foods of that diet are the foods we're designed to eat, but what about the quality of those foods? So nutrition is a part of diet.
Hmm.
And a lot of people don't really understand this. They just say, okay, I'm eating all the foods that I'm supposed to be eating. I'm exercising enough so that I'm eating enough food, so I'm fine. Well, if the nutritional quality of the food that you are eating, even though it's the correct foods, is not as nutritious as those foods should be, now you may be eating enough food, enough of the correct foods, but maybe you're not getting enough nutrition. And this is a huge topic because it affects a lot of people. And I see them in my practice eating the perfect diet, but going downhill after 4 or 5 years because the nutritional quality of their diet wasn't really what it needed to be. But the good news is there are things we can do about that. Number six is support. Some people need more support than others. Some people are very independent and they don't need any support. So they have really good willpower and that they're strong people, but a lot of people do need some support, especially if you're faced with family and friends who are not supportive of what you're doing,
Right.
because they see what you're doing as a comment on their lifestyle, even though you're not saying anything to them. So they want you to be on their team and eat the way they do and exercise the way they exercise, even if that's no exercise. So when you start behaving differently, they don't like that. So they give you a hard time, and then you may need support from your raw food friends. So you should always have like some raw food friends, even if it doesn't matter where they are in the world, as long as you can Skype with them or email with them or text with them or talk with them on the phone to get that support if you're the type of person who needs support. Number seven on my list is treat any failures as a learning experience. Don't think of them as failures. When you fall off the wagon, there's a reason for it. Try to find out what the reason is or what the reason was so it doesn't happen again. So there's nothing wrong with 2 steps forward and 1 step back. It happens to everybody, and just treat it as a learning experience. Number eight, the last tip I'm going to give is you need accurate information. Even when you discover what the correct diet is and the correct foods are, you still need accurate information because there are some raw food educators who are teaching what the correct diet is, but they're not paying any attention to nutrition. They think that if you just eat fruits and vegetables, the correct ones, and eat enough of them and get enough sleep and all the other stuff, you'll be fine. But that's not true because it really depends on the nutritional quality of the foods. So you want multi-source education. I call it multi-source education. In other words, don't follow just one person. Now, maybe you were sick and you had some health issues and you found a book. Someone gave you a book and that book was written by a particular raw food educator and you followed some of the things in the book or you followed everything in the book and you got well. So you figure, wow, this has got to be it. I'm just going to follow this for the rest of my life and follow this person, this educator for the rest of my life. And I guess I'll be as healthy as I can possibly be.
Hmm.
Just because the information in the book helped you get rid of health challenges that you already had doesn't mean that it'll also allow you to be as healthy as your genetics will allow you to be. So you want to look at multi-source education, multi-sources of raw food education, so you can actually find the conflicting information. Now that may sound counterintuitive because people say, I don't want any conflicting information. I want my information to all be the same. But but there is inaccurate information out there in the health food and the raw food industry. So you want to find that inaccurate information to make sure that that's not the information you're following. And if you happen to be following the correct information, that's great. But now what if your friend happens to be following the incorrect information? So you want to let them know. So just keep in mind that what can sabotage your efforts at eating a raw food diet and being successful at it is what you know that isn't so.
Yeah.
So that's why multi-source education is best. Now, I have a DVD for sale on my website that kind of goes over the things that we've just talked about and goes into them in a little bit more detail. But I've arranged for you folks to see it. I've arranged with Savan for you to see it for free. So below there'll be a link to it. I've put it on my YouTube channel so you can watch it for free. And below also there'll be a link to an article I wrote on cravings, because that's another one that can really derail you from being successful. You get these cravings and you go to do something like eat, salty snacks that you used to eat, and now you figure, okay, I ruined it. I can't do it, so I'm just going to go back and eat what I used to eat. So it's really good to know about what's causing the cravings. Are they physiological caused, or are they caused by psychological issues? So I'm going to put a link down below, or Savannah will put a link down below to my article on cravings.
Cool. Yeah. And so I have a question that I got from a follower. Um, so she's saying that after a raw meal or a fruit meal, she never feels satisfied, and she's always hungry. She's always looking for food. And so I guess people don't know. It comes to calories. People are not eating enough calories, or they're not eating enough in the specific meal that they're eating. The amounts. Um, and I remember when I first started the raw vegan diet, I didn't eat enough calories. I started losing weight, and I was kind of confused. Hey, what's going on? I mean, I want to build muscle, or I want to gain weight. So why am I losing weight?
Right.
So what would you tell her to do? Like, if she never feels satisfied, or if she's looking for food all the time, she's always hungry.
Well, there's three basic reasons for this happening. One is, like you say, the person's just not eating enough calories. And that can be kind of easy to find out, because if you start losing weight, then you know, okay, I guess I'm not eating enough calories. Keep in mind that to get, let's say, 2,000 calories from a fast food restaurant, it's very
Easy.
compact. It could be this much in your stomach. But
Yeah.
to get the same 2,000 calories from fruits and vegetables, it's going to take this much during the course of the day. So some people's stomachs have actually lost their elasticity from not eating a fiber-rich, water-rich diet from birth. From when they start eating solid food. If the stomach doesn't need to stretch with each meal, it's not going to stretch, and you're going to lose that elasticity. So sometimes you have to eat until you're just ready to pop, and then just have another half of a banana to get that, to stretch the stomach out again, so that you can eat a normal amount of food. And yeah, for maybe a half an hour after you eat those 10 bananas, or however many bananas you eat, you might look like you have a beer belly, but it's just for 30 minutes, and then your belly will go back down. Just like a little infant. When an infant eats, they get a big belly, and then the belly goes back down. So infants have a good elasticity to their stomach, but we kind of lose that if we don't eat the diet. So that's one reason, is just not eating enough calories. The other reason is that you can just feel like food, I need more food. You can be stuffed to the gills, like you can't really put another bite down into your stomach, but you're still hungry. You could be hungry not for calories, but for nutrients. If the foods you're eating are not grown in really good soils, and obviously if you're just eating fruits and vegetables, these are not fortified, like we spoke about last time. They're not fortified with certain nutrients. So if those nutrients aren't in the fruits and vegetables, your body can make you hungry for nutrients. Normally, it wouldn't 100,000 years ago, because we would be guaranteed to get plenty of nutrition,
Hmm.
because we just have to eat enough food for enough activity, and we're eating from the wild, so the nutrition would be there. But today, it's not the same thing, the way the agri-based food industry grows the food. So
Right.
that's the second reason. You could be just wanting to eat more because you're just not getting enough of certain nutrients. That's why it's good to add, as part of the diet, a good nutritional adjunct to the diet. It's like a green powder or something that'll make sure those nutrients are there. And the third reason that you want to keep eating, obviously, a craving for food is not physiological, it's emotional, it's psychological. I just want more food. For a lot of people, food can be a way of just dulling certain emotions. So you're switching to a diet that's different from everybody else that you love that's eating, and right. So and they're giving you a hard time. So now you're feeling bad. And one of the ways, let's say you've done in the past when you feel that way, is to eat. So now you're eating more food to try and dull those negative emotions, the sadness, or whatever you're feeling. So those are the three basic reasons. But so make sure you get enough nutrition in there, and that's easy. You just add it to the smoothies, and if your cravings go away, if you feel satisfied, that was it. You just weren't getting enough of, and it could even be one nutrient like chromium or magnesium or something. Um, be more active. Eat and don't worry about getting that big stomach when you're eating the big meal of fruits, because it's high water content, it's high fiber. You should look like you have a beer belly just for about a half an hour until it digests and gets through your intestines. So yeah, so eat more fruits and more fruit basically. Get it in there, and then just be very wary. Be cognizant of if you're eating for emotional reasons. Well, that can happen to anybody, no matter what diet you're eating. So just be
Hmm.
on the lookout for that. And my article on cravings goes into that in great detail. So make sure you check out that article too.
Yeah, and also a tip for me is that um, I found out that when I eat juicy fruits, so that with higher water content, I feel much more satisfied than eating bananas only, or dried fruits, or nuts, seeds, or stuff like that. When I eat juicy fruits, I'm more satisfied for a longer time. So
Right, right. Yeah, being hydrated is important too.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is it for this video. We'll see you on the next video.